This is Build It Baby, the show for big ideas, brave pivots, and bold next chapters. So let's do it. Let's build it, baby. Hey there, Penelope Bent here. Welcome to Build It Baby. Around here, we don't just chase success, we create it. Whether you're starting something new or reinventing what's next, this is your space to dream it, build it, and live it. It's your choice. So let's build it, baby. So I've been thinking about this. I've been really concerned about the current job market today. I believe we're going through some really challenging times. I know so many folks that have been abruptly laid off recently from some really amazing companies that they had been with for a long time. And I know it sounds crazy, but one of the reasons I wanted to own my own business, even from a very early age, is I always wanted a revenue stream I could count on. I never really trusted anyone else to take care of me. I wanted to trust that I could support my family. No trust issues there. Maybe it was from my childhood experiences. I'm not sure. But all kidding aside, I've always been aware of how people and business can change on a dime. One day you have a job and the next day you experience that dreaded call from HR for a meeting. Hell, today, they don't even give you the heads up. You receive a last-minute Zoom request from your manager, and up front and center is the gal from HR. The meeting is scripted. There's no warmth. It's not about your performance. It's just a cold, your services are no longer needed. And within 15 minutes, all of your company email access has been shut down, and within seconds, your last email is the one giving you the instructions on how to return their equipment. So even in the early years, I had a great job in healthcare, moved up the ladder, worked with some great people. Yet in the back of my head, there was this little voice that kept reminding me of how very fragile my position could be. And maybe it was just me, but I just never felt safe. So if you're out there and you have been laid off, I get it. I can only encourage you to consider, maybe now is the time for the open window with a new idea, with a side hustle. But I also know that many of you are happy working for others, whether that be corporate or otherwise, that a job is your peace of mind. And I totally get that, and I respect your position. So I wanted to share with you something that Gisette Hoffman and I created. Gisette Hoffman was a cover model that I worked with in the fashion industry. She and I shot several front covers together. And when I decided that I would move out of the fashion industry in 2012-ish, I got a great call from Gisette, and she said, have you ever just even thought about recruiting? And I found that with her generous sharing of information and knowledge, I had found something that I had discovered, this new passion in the recruiting industry. It was just like the modeling agency business. I was still connecting great talent with great opportunities. And so as she and I were chatting recently and how we had noticed how the job market had changed and how it's expanded, but we've personally interviewed and placed thousands of job-seeking candidates. So we decided to get together and co-author a book called Hired, an ebook. It has 15 top tips by pro recruiters, Gisette and myself. And the goal was to help you find the job of your dreams. So in this crazy job market and with all these layoffs springing up right and left, I thought now might be the perfect time to share those 15 top tips. So tip number 1, I think it's really important to know your career path. Be clear on where you want to go and how you want to get there. And apply for the jobs that are in alignment with your desires and the goal. Stay on your design course. Because I cannot tell you how many resumes I have reviewed that reflect really inconsistent and scattered work experience. You don't want that. You want to try to have the experiences line up so that there is a consistency. Number 2, try to remember to review your brand on social media. Does your social media define the type of person your future employer would want to represent their company? Or does your social media look like the continuous frat party? In recruiting today, many, if not all recruiters, will turn to social media for a bit of insight into the character of the candidate. So don't hesitate to clean up that unflattering or controversial posts. Get those out of there. Delete them. Number 3, update your current resume. Keep that resume current. Even if you're happy with your current job, keep the resume current. You never know what's at the next turn. You might need that quickly. Maybe it's an opportunity of a previous VP you worked with, wants you to come join his team or her team. It's important to make your resume as tight and as effective as possible. Make sure to eliminate insignificant data. And also you might want to think about adding a cover letter, which can include specific desires or qualifications when you're sending out your resume for a job. Highlight the qualifications that are in alignment with what the current employer's needs are. Number 4, make sure to update your LinkedIn page. I cannot tell you how many hiring managers I work with that when I do a write-up about a candidate and attach their resume, we also attach your LinkedIn profile. And most hiring managers will review that LinkedIn profile before they will move on to your resume. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile is a direct reflection of your current resume. Even change the about if need be to align with the job that you're applying for. Maybe with pointing out some of those skills that you have that would be in alignment there. And number 5, treat your job hunt as a full-time job. Just like I always suggest when you are starting a business. 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, and work on potential opportunities, sending out your resumes and submissions. And then use the afternoon for quick follow-ups or any correspondence that might come in. But consistency is the key. 3 days a week, 3 mornings, that's when you send your resumes out. 3 afternoons, you do your follow-ups. Number 6. When you submit your resume, many times on a job posting, such as LinkedIn, if you scroll down, you'll see the name for the recruiter. So when you submit your resume on a portal for a company, check out and see through LinkedIn if you can find the recruiter's name and send them a little note letting them know that you have applied through the main portal and that you're very interested, maybe list a few qualifications or skills that are in alignment, and let them know that you're really interested in having a quick chat. I cannot tell you how powerful that is. Every email I ever received that was similar, I did respond either that I would be, contacting them or setting a time that we could have a chit chat. Number 7, remember this, that when the recruiter calls, answer the damn phone or answer the text or respond to the email. The recruiter is your friend. Remember, your relationship with that recruiter can make or break your job search. Respond to any LinkedIn messages from recruiters. Recruiters have great networks. If you're not right for the particular role, they might even be able to connect you to those who are in need of your services. So recruiters are your friend. Maybe you don't need their help right now, but maybe you will down the line. Number 8, stay connected with that recruiter. Save the recruiter's contact information. Become connected on LinkedIn. The job placement is about timing. If your recruiter cannot quickly connect you with the interview data or date confirmations, then it slows the whole process down. So keep their information, but when you're working directly with a recruiter, respond as quickly as possible. They may just be reaching out to ask you a question about your wheelhouse, or even on an offer, so that the whole process can be quick and in alignment. And number 9, prepare for your interview. I've talked till I'm blue in the face about presentations, everything. And I do know I had a podcast on this, so you can go back and get some of the tricks of the trade as far as how to position your computer for a good Zoom call. But make sure that you're prepared for that call. With your presentation and tidying up your area and knowing how to work with the computer so it's up high enough that you're looking into the camera rather than having the camera look at your throat. So that's for a whole other day, but there is a good podcast on that. Number 10, do your research. Explore and study about the mission, the culture, the goals, and the needs of the company that you're interviewing with. I cannot tell you how important it is to know whom you're speaking. What are their needs? What is the goals of the company? Do your research. Number 11, be a good listener. Listen carefully to the needs of the hiring team. Focus on listening to the needs of those in the position of hiring can give you a strong edge in assuring them of your abilities to solve their problems and fill the position. And number 12, develop strong sales skills. I know everybody says, oh my God, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson. Well, learn to develop a few sales skills. We are great salespeople. You're selling to your kids all the time when you're trying to convince them, to eat their, broccoli. Have your elevator pitch down pat. Create a short, clear description of your qualifications and experience in such a way that any listener can understand who you are in a very short period of time. And by God, be enthusiastic. Let them know you are a team player and that you are very interested. Number 13, how better to get a sense of your future employer than to ask questions? Find out, what are your expectations for this position? How many members will be on my extended team? What will my first 90 days look like? Will there be a ramp up, or do I have a quota right off the bat? Ask those questions. Very important. And number 14, be confident. Create a confident posture. Lean toward the camera if you're on Zoom. Lean toward the interviewer if you're sitting in front of them. That you're interested. Your posture signals interest and confidence. And last but not least, number 15, remember that your goal is to receive an offer. Candidates get stuck in the weeds of trying to discover their perfect job. It may not be perfect, but get the offer. It's an experience you can go through. You can hone your skills as to how to get these folks to make an offer. You can always turn it down at the last minute if it's really not a good fit, but you'll discover that along the way. So remember, your job is to receive an offer for the job. So I'm hoping that this little ebook, Hired, and the 15 tips that Gisette and I have put together will help you in this very troublesome period of the market right now. If you would like the ebook version of Hired, please don't hesitate to go to penelopebent.com, and on the page that's tabbed Published, you'll find the free download, and just jump right in there and download the free one, and you could read all the additional details. But those are the 15 top tips. Those are the highlights. And I do hope they will help you if you're on the hunt in this very challenging market right now. So here's the part where I tell you exactly what I know. These are my knowings, the things I no longer question because they've shown themselves to me again and again. Not from a book, but from building, getting knocked down, getting back up, and doing this work in the real world. Okay, so here are my knowings. I know that I'm always in the right place at the right time for my all good. And number 2, I know that I'm headed in the right direction when I choose the path of non-resistance. Number 3, I know that intuition is a spiritual faculty that does not explain, but always points me in the right direction. And number 4, I know that when I face troubled times with poise and calm, opportunities always fly in my open window and the sun always shines brightly. So those are my knowings. Okay, so now it's time for our listener questions. Here we go. This is from Jenny in Naples, Florida. What are the common financial mistakes new founders make, and how can I avoid them? Great question, Jenny. And I don't think many people really ever think about that question. So I think this was an excellent question and really worth discussing. I think what happens, in my opinion, what I see very early on is I think a lot of new business owners get too fancy too soon. They want the newest printer and the 5 or 6 new computers, and then we got to sign up for the network. I don't think in business it really evolves that way. I think keeping it conservative, starting with some bare bones, some used computers, what's around the house that nobody's using. I remember needing to, put my reception area together, and I'd just purchased a new couch for my living room, and I thought, oh, hell, that'll work. And I moved it out of the house. It was the same color scheme that I was using at the studio at the time. And I, grabbed it from my living room and brought it in to get the doors open. I think when you start a business, it's too easy to look at shiny versus product, developing your product or developing your skill or creating the business, building the business out. I think we all think we have an idea of what it's going to look like, but we're not sure. So I think going slowly as you prepare and open your front doors. What do you have laying around the house? What do you have in, the rental you might have that the people aren't using that you could use in the business? And I am a big believer of used. I am a used person. I will buy used all the time. And I remember reading this in a book that I thought was like a business Bible. It was called The Millionaire. I read it years ago, but it was a great personal read. And it was statistically went on about how millionaires, they don't buy new cars right off the lot. I think I've only bought one new car in my entire life. Everything I've ever bought was very delicately pre-used. But hell, I saved a lot of money that way. And I remember when we were going from film photography to digital, I went to a pawn shop and bought my first digital camera. And everyone was making fun of me. Everyone I worked with was laughing. But hell, I didn't know what kind of camera I wanted. So I figured I'm going to go get one at the pawn shop. And I'm going to learn everything about it. And that will give me the data that I needed to order the one that I wanted and make sure that it had the bells and whistles that I needed, not the bells and whistles that everyone was trying to cram down my throat. So I'm big on used. I remember when we were at the studio in the modeling company, and we'd had created all these amazing sets. We were shooting these fashion layouts for the magazine, and I'd drive out of the commercial building that we had there, and I'd look over there, and there'd be an amazing chair in the dumpster. And oh my God, I'd stop the car, squeezing the chair into the back seat. Sometimes I have no idea how I did that, but I'd spray paint it and recover it, and it would be just an outrageous piece, for a fashion layout that I was shooting for the magazine. So I spy everything unique that I can along the way and use all those unique and interesting pieces. I'm a real big believer in no debt. I think it's very difficult to own a business and try to make a lot of payments. So I say use everything that you have. Try to avoid a debt for as long as you possibly can, and use what you do have and make it work for you. It will seem kind of funky in the beginning if you like nice, shiny new things, but shiny doesn't necessarily pay the bills. Using things strategically, painting them, refreshing them, can make your new business glow as shiny as if you went out and bought all new furniture. No one's looking at the store you bought it from. That's just not how you build businesses. You build them with the desire to help others, and you build them in a modest fashion. That's how you create them successfully, at least in my opinion. That's how I've always rolled. Just ask any of my friends. Well, it's that time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Build It Baby. Looking for a job is one of the hardest jobs you will ever have. And I hope our 15 top tips will help you to have more influence and impact in your own life. Always best, P. Build It Baby is a Rainy Day Production House original, hosted by Penelope Bent and produced and edited by Morgan Clymer. Music by Yuri Shemshashen and Oleksiy Holobiev. If this episode spoke to you, please follow the show and leave a review. It helps more dreamers like you find us. And remember, you're not just building a bold business or a career, you're building a bold life.